Alright everybody, welcome to episode of Psycho's Platters, episode 189, Return to 45 Land Part 2. Always sponsored by coffee, every time. So, this batch here is what I got to talk about today. These are a mixture, of course, of more Illinois finds mixed with some I found at a local resale shop within the last week. Starting right off, from 1959, Tab Smith on Checker, Because of You. I got a lot of research today, guys, a lot of research. Because of You, 1959. Tab Smith was a swing and an R&B sax player. He was born in '09 in Kinston, North Carolina. In the 30s and 40s, he worked with Lucky Melander and Count Basie. His biggest hit happened to be this, Because of You, but it was released in 1951. When in 51 it came out, it was number 1 on the R&B and number 20 on the pop chart. He made it for United Records, in which he stayed with that label until it shut down in 1957. Briefly stayed with Checker and King and retired from music in the early 60s. He ended up being a part-time piano player in a steakhouse and died in August '71 in St. Louis. A little extra fact, though, I found, courtesy of 45 Cat, was that United's owner, Leonard Allen, folded the United label in '57 to avoid bankruptcy. And in 1958, Smith's contract and United Recordings turned over to Leonard Chess, who wanted to make new recordings. So that's how Tab ended up on Checker. This next one, kind of cool in its own way. When I got this in Illinois quite some time back, I didn't know what to think of this. On Yaz Records, the group Dust with a song called Gone. This is this here is a psych rock, a private psych rock pressing back in. I saw some people had it put in '71. I've seen people put it at '69. So we're just going to say between '69 and '71 this was put out. Both sides of this, by the way, were very cool. This one here, the information is courtesy of YouTube and 45 Cat. Dust, this is not the same Dust that was on Kama Sutra, although this Dust did end up cutting an album on early release on Mercer. Yeah, Mercer, the Christian label. This group here was headed by Art Titus, who happened to sing and play bass. This Dust made only one album, and the LP version of this, of Gone, is different than the single. What they pretty much did is on the single you have a recorder beginning, and they just pretty much excised it out of the LP version. Not only do you have Art Titus, but you have Rich Paul Aiken on guitar, Tommy Wells on drums, and Ken Miller on the B3, who happened to do the flip I Know. Another little interesting trivia point I didn't know about, I don't know who DJ Frayne is, but he went off and sampled this track. So go figure. All these DJs always find little bits of things, don't they? But yeah, so if you're into the psych rock stuff, especially the unknown stuff, go try to find a copy of this. I'm led to believe, according to the 45 Cat, that this is an original press. What I mean by that is that they ended up putting it out in a later press on, I don't know, pinkish red label. So very cool to have that in the collection. This next one here, I kind of dig this. This one's got a little bit more scratches than I expect, but maybe some of it will clean out really nicely. On Vando Records, Chris Bartley, Sweetest Thing This Side of Heaven. This came out in July of '67, went top 10 at the R&B chart, 32 for Billboard 100, 35 Cashbox, and 14 in R&B charts in Canada. Now, the song was written by Van McCoy, He was born in '47, Chris was, and raised in the '50s on soul and doo-wop. He formed a quartet called the Soulful Inspirations, but changed the name several times, including being called briefly the Mindbenders. 1967, he auditioned for Van McCoy and ends up signing them to Cameo Parkway subsidiary Vando here. Vando cuts about 5 singles, roughly, through late '68, when Vando folded into Buddha, and he ends up making 2 more singles there. He finishes in May of '71 on Musicor. Leaves music industry due to a family health matter, but comes back in the late '70s to sing with the '60s group the Ad-Libs, and he passed away in October of 2009. I really dig the A side. The B side's fine, but I really do like Sweetest. This is a nice technical soul piece. Not Northern soul, but it is nice soul piece. The next one here, kind of strange in its own weird way. I picked up a few things on Cub. This is the first time I ever heard of Russ Conaway, and with good reason. Turns out that Russ Conaway, like I said, the song Roulette here came out in June of '59. This is the only U.S. charted record that he had in his career. It charted in August of '59 at 106 on the Billboard charts. He was an English pianist signed to EMI's Columbia label, backing people like Gracie Fields back in the '50s and such. From '57 to '63, though, he had 20 UK chart hits. Roulette in UK, by the way, was #1 in '59, and it displaced Elvis's A Fool Such As I. And he played on and off until the mid-'90s, and he died in November of 2000. Russ Conaway on Cub. It's an interesting barreling piano instrumental is what it is. This next one here, kind of a head scratcher. On Constellation, Will Mercer's Penny Candy. It's from 1963. I had to go, these sources here this time is Rate Your Music and Paddle Steamer. I know that doesn't sound right, but it's true. Like I said, in '63 is the best I can figure out on this. It's an early Constellation release. They ended up making about 75 45s between '63 and '66. Constellation was a Northern Soul label from Chicago. Gene Chandler, Dee Clark, other ones were on this label. It was owned by Ewart Abner of Abner Records. He had a falling out with Vijay in their management staff, and that's why he ended up making Constellation. But in 1966, him and Vijay made peace. Constellation sort of comes back into the fold, but unfortunately a little too late, because by late '66, Vijay and Constellation are both shuttered. Like I said, I think this is kind of neat, but I also have to mention that from what few sources I've got, the promo copies I've seen for Constellation have been on a yellow label, so I thought this is kind of cool to come across a first white label one. And of course somebody decided to write slow/medium. I have not had a chance to listen to this at all, but like I said, it is a head scratcher for me. So Will Mercer from '63. This next one here I picked up 10 cents here at a local resale shop, and it actually came from a radio station store stock of KBBS. I don't know if that was an Arkansas station or whatever, but this was very unusual to begin with. If you're an old school country fan, this one here is RCA Victor Jim Reeves Airplay Special. You have 2 tracks that were excerpted from the album Kimberly Jim. Now, Kimberly Jim, that album came out in '64. I'm led to believe, well, I'll tell you this in a second. Kimberly Jim was a movie he made in '63. The soundtrack album came out in '64, sometime before his death on July 31st, 1964, in the plane crash that killed him near Brentwood, Tennessee. The album went to number 11 in Norway. It did not chart in America. This single was never released commercially. Don Gibson co-writes Strangers, the A-side here. So like I said, I think it's kind of neat that I found this. I listened to the tracks, they're alright. But like I said, first time I've ever come across an airplay special like that. Next, Shirley Ellis on Congress, but it's not the name game. Squirrely! No, it's not it. It's the Nitty Gritty, which actually is a pretty cool tune. It's Shirley Ellis here. Like I said, this came out in '63, number 8 on the Billboard chart, number 4 on the R&B chart. It was written by Lincoln Chase, who also wrote Name Game. He also wrote Jim Dandy. Yeah, that Jim Dandy. And he also happened to be her manager, record producer, and of course songwriting partner. The first single, this is here, and then the Name Game and Clapping Song hits in '64, '65. Columbia and Bell, she ends up going to till late '67, retires from the music business in '68, and died in 2005. But I actually like the A and B side of this one. That kind of surprised me, because the Name Game kind of got old. So to be able to hear something else was really awesome. And another one that I found, Do the Bird, D.D. Sharp, from the same place, also from '63. This was number 10 on the Billboard chart, number 8 on the R&B, and actually was a top 50 hit in the UK. She actually started out in 1962 being a backing vocalist for Chubby Checker, uncredited. She ended up staying with on Cameo Parkway till '66, jumped to Atco till '68. Then she ended up with Gamble, TSOP, Philly International till '81, when then she just stopped altogether. And I actually like Do the Bird. Do the Bird was a cool tune. Almost done, kids. In this one here, I like Dwayne Eddy. Sure, say that 5 times fast. I like Dwayne Eddy's stuff, okay? Especially the Jamie material. Didn't know so much about the RCA material. Well, I managed to get this one. Son of Rebel Rouser. This one came out in '64. Both this and the flip of the Story of Three Loves, which is basically he's playing off of Rachmaninoff on that one. Both of these were non-LP sides. This was the last chart action that he had until 1970, because it went 97 on Billboard, 90 on Cashbox. The 1970 single was Freight Train, which only made it to 110. He ended up, after this label, he went to Colpix, Reprise, and Elektra as well, and made a very cool album, if I remember correctly, in the late '80s with some Beatle involvement. Yeah, if I remember correctly, he was also rumored at one point or another after Roy Orbison's death to possibly be a traveling Wilbury. His name got thrown out, and Del Shannon's name got thrown out. This last little bit here was kind of cool. I just found out about this literally today. Nice Connie Francis. This is the first Connie Francis picture sleeve I've got, though. From 1962, May of '62, Secondhand Love. And of course it's on MGM, that nice, beautiful, beautiful black label. With this one here, alright, Secondhand Love, you've got Floyd Kramer on piano, the Jordanaires doing backing vocals, and this is co-written by Phil Spector. Now, I've tried to dig around a little bit here. This may or may not also have been produced by Phil. I've seen yes, I've seen no. If anybody's a Spector-phile, a Spector-holic, tell me if he produced this thing, because I'd be kind of curious. Gonna Get That Man, which is the flip side of this. Actually, that one there is very cool. It should have been a bigger hit, to tell you the honest truth. There's a touch of soul, actually, in those vocals. I could have seen them try to stick that on soul radio, and it maybe would have got a hit. It did chart, though, get this, at 100 in the 110s back then. And then, oh yeah, but To Get That Man was written by Eddie Curtis. Eddie Curtis was known as two things: Memphis Curtis or Eddie Tex Curtis. And in the 50s, he worked for Duke and Peacock label, and ended up writing and doing some production work for those fine establishments too. So kind of cool to have that. Those last couple, 25 cents a piece. I couldn't pass those up for no end. New subs for the week: Matthew Swigert, John Stemmer, 1977 The Grand Illusion, which, you know what, I could tell you saw that Styx video I did for The Mission. Still an awesome album. That and the Cheap Trick one have not left my player. I'm guaranteeing that. And Weekly Talks. All 4 of you guys, thank you for subbing to Psycho's Platters. And I'm going to continue to try to keep you guys entertained and informed, because that's what the hell I like doing. That's what. So I want to mention really quick here, we'll do the Tulsa Record Fair. Tulsa Record Fair, July 15th. Mammoth Comics on 11th Street in downtown Tulsa. It's on a Saturday. Going to be from 10 to 4. So any of you guys in the Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, North Texas, come on out, and you know, I will be there, barring anything stupid. The mighty Psyko will be there at that record show, and I'm still waiting to get permission to film over there, but we'll see, right? I'm hoping to do at least some for you guys. So who knows? You might end up in a Psycho Platter episode in the future. All right, so let's see. Wax Museum with Ronnie Dark, and Night Owl Lounge with Mike Adams, and Wallflower Hour. All Sunday night shows, 6 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. All Central Standard Times. Go like all of them at their Facebook pages, please. And because they're on WVOA Radio in Syracuse, New York. Awesome. Awesome night. You ain't doing anything on Sunday nights. Come on. You're not doing anything. Go off and like and sub all of those shows. Go listen. You can listen through Uber stations like I do. There's other formats too. But tell them that the mighty Psycho sent you, because you know what? That's important. These guys are good people. Alright. Thrifty Music Collectors Group. Tim Smith and Company. Always a nice little group over there. Shindig, the best damn English rock magazine ever. Yeah, I said the best damn English rock magazine. The Records and Coffee. Go check them out on Facebook. Another fine group too. YouTube Vinyl Community. Without the YouTube Vinyl Community, none of us would be here doing what we love here, which is, of course, showing you guys our funds here, our finds and funds, and just being able to just enjoy. Because I love you guys. I love you guys in the VC. And Doug Fields, he's got a show called The Vinyl Grotto. Last time I heard, he's working on a new one. So I hope that's working out for him really well. Who knows? He might be with me at the Tulsa show too. Not sure about that yet, but so you might actually be able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and be able to see 2 fine YouTube hosts for music community, right? Alright guys, I probably left some people out and I apologize. But you guys take care. God bless, rock on. Next episode, chances are, will be a album review episode. The new Beach Boys. Yeah, new Beach Boys, 1967 Sunshine Tomorrow on a double CD. Came out with a lot of alternate and unreleased goodies, including a whole album live from 1967 with that classic Beach Boys lineup that we know and love so much. So take care, God bless, rock on, and I'll see you on the flip side.